Greetings, YouTube. There's been a lot of things in the news recently about banning books in the red states. They're all concerned about CRT, which is actually not being taught to any kids K through 12 because it's an advanced college course, critical race theory. It's something that would be taken like in legal school. It is not something that's being taught to children, but that has become a bucket term that the conservatives can just ram anything they want to in it that means I hate this thing. I don't want these things about black people to be taught to my kids. And what they're saying is that they don't want black people telling white people what white people have done to black people. And what I want to see is an unvarnished historical education for kids. Age appropriate, so you give the kid what they need at grade 1 and you ramp up as they go. But by high school, when they're like in the juniors or seniors, yeah, they should know that America is a nation founded on white supremacy, genocide, and slavery. They should know it was okay to buy humans like livestock, and it was okay if their owners raped them whenever they felt like it. They should know about what we did to Chinese immigrants and how we did to the indigenous people that were here, wiping them out with disease and war, displacing them, throwing their children into schools where they could have their culture stripped away. Some politician whose name escapes me said, "Kill the Indian, save the man." The kids need to know that. They need to know what we did to the Japanese during World War II, how we invaded areas of America that had been Spanish-speaking for centuries and still bear Spanish names and are now populated a bunch of white people who tell the people who have been on those lands for 500 years that to go home. They need to know about that. And not because I want them to feel shame or guilt because they didn't do it. But they need to know that white people did. That white Europeans invaded this country, this continent, continents plural, all the Americas. And what they did to those continents and to all the peoples that lived on them. There were like 1,400 languages in South America at one time. There aren't now. And why do I want the kids to know this? Is it because I'm some evil socialist? No, it's because if you don't learn, you can't get better. You have to know where you've been to know where you're going. So they have to know what the horrors that white people have visited upon America and the world at large. They need to learn about colonialism. They need to know about the things that happened in their grandparents and their parents' age. They need to know what their grandparents and parents did in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. They need to know about Ruby Ridge and the fact that their grandparents were the ones screaming at a child who just wanted to go to school. That's important to know because we can't expect them to do better if they don't know what happened. I'm a crafter, and I make mistakes, but I learn from them. And if I didn't make them, I wouldn't learn. So that feedback is important, whether you're a crafter or you're a citizen. And banning books and preventing children from knowing the truth, the actual honest to God's truth, is twisted and warped and a tool of white supremacy, keeping white kids ignorant of what white people have done to this continent and to the peoples that live upon it in the past and the present and the future, just furthers white supremacy. And if you're endorsing that, if you're happy that children are having themselves indoctrinated into a white supremacist narrative, a Disneyfication of America, just folklore. If you're happy, you're much happier that it's Professor Mickey Mouse teaching your children history instead of someone who's actually going to tell them about Malcolm X. You're part of the problem. Ignorance has never solved any problem. And no one has ever made an improvement without making a mistake. And hiding the mistakes and shoving children into a world of ignorance isn't going to help us or them get better.